So somehow I get up to the stairs, and yeah, my mom takes my shoe off, and her friend's over. I think it's Denise, who is actually a girl that passed away. I just remember it was a good friend of my mom's. I remember she was over the house, and it was like, it was kind of, I want to say it was kind of late. Maybe it was like 8, 9. And I know it was late because my mom called my dad a lot, blew up his phone like crazy. And my dad was like, WTF, I'm trying to sleep. He gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning, so he turns his phone off. My dad has no idea something might be wrong, And they are, separated at this point. And, yeah. So it turns out I needed surgery, and I had to go to the hospital, and I went into shock, so I felt not a single bit of pain. And yeah, surgery was awful. I was dating this guy that I had consensually given my virginity to, basically, if I can say that. And he was technically my first official boyfriend, I guess you can say. We were together for 3 years, and he was Simba, I was Nala. It was high school. I was totally dating a girl before that, by the way, and that's totally another story. Anyway, this guy, he really broke my heart. His name is Michael Brown. And he was in a band. He would totally always cheat and was really flirtatious, and was a Libra, actually, now that I think about it. His mom, though, super inspired my life. And, his mom could always, smell me. Because my mom smoked cigarettes, I would hide under the bed, and his mom would come in the room and know I'm there because she could smell the cigarettes, even though I was hiding under the bed. She knew. Yeah, so that's that. I was probably, I was 15, 16, right? Maybe we were together for, 2 years or something. I don't know. That was, my first, serious relationship. And, anyway, I was totally heartbroken at some point, and yeah, exactly, I had transferred schools. I had gone to Coconut Creek High instead at, parents breaking up or just moving around, and always moving around. Yeah, so I shattered my ankle. I remember being at Michael Brown's house and pulling out one of my stitches strings. It was around one of the times, and it feeling like dental floss. You remember that? I remember there being otters in the lake. And I remember skateboarding with crutches on, and I remember listening to Psychopathic. And Aubrey I had met from me being a mall rat. I had a lot of freedom, and I was allowed to take the bus and stuff, I was 13 and stuff. And yeah, my parents didn't typically drive me around and do stuff for me like that, it was occasional my dad would drop me off at I call it, I forgot what we called it, man. It was it was at Sawgrass, the area where the movie is, movie theater. A lot has changed since then, though. A lot has changed, architecture-wise there. So, yeah, anyway, so I'm hanging out with all the mall rats, and yeah, Aubrey, I meet through Brett Bloom, and then, yeah, and Andy. All those 3 dudes. And then we used to go to, every Valentine's Day, there was a Juggalo get-together that was at a Christian carnival. And we would just always play Morton's List there, and yeah, paint our faces, and it was just always such a blast. Such a blast. Childhood Juggalo stuff, man. And there's other people. I remember Dirty. I remember another guy that passed away that really inspired my soul. Although, like I said, Aubrey showed me some Dark Lotus albums, and then from that, I kind of started, after I got, listening to those CDs over and over again, I kind of went down a stream of, Psychopathics from Outer Space, and because I actually met a kid in high school at Coral Springs High, Charlie. He hooked me up with all these burned CDs that I actually have to this day, that kid burned for me. Look at this. And then, yeah, exactly, it started to just, I think it's the other CD case more. Though all the CDs do look kind of like that. And, yeah, man, Charlie was my Juggalo family. He was a Virgo, and, that's also where I officially met Adam Haluska. I had seen Adam Haluska with all the Psychopathic stuff at middle school. And, he was also, at, the mall. 3 by 2. So yeah, I grew up with all this like psychopath stuff. When Michael Brown broke up with me, I had the shattered ankle. It was just like a time where I was wearing bandanas. Like I have like all these imagery, and like I was painting my face. So I just started to get into it. I had just figured out what all the 6 Jokers cards meant. And by the way, that's totally what owned me first. I started learning the story. Like, oh, Carnival of Carnage is life. Ringmaster, that's us. Great Malenko, that's karma. Jekyll Brothers, good and evil. And like, Riddlebox, facing the spawn of yourself. I know a lot of you like don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Although, the unveiling from the last album, how we lost lots of juggalos, just when I kind of heard all the story and I found out the truth, and then I found out Violent J's story, like I'm an empath, so I kind of truly connected to him. And then when I went to Juggalo Weekend, like, it's funny enough, Wolf brings me there. I'm doing tarot readings. I end up meeting the only the tarot reader for Psychopathic Records or whatever, at the gathering. I meet her, and she encourages me to come to my gathering. And, like, I didn't think in a million years that it would happen, really. Because, like, I just didn't have the freedom to do so because I was so committed to the museum, and I was, like, part of what they were building. We were focused on a project, and I wasn't really able to, like, leave and go do other things, like, being a wrestler or juggalo or acting or anything much more than the museum, And so when the museum fell apart, of course, like, I went back to my Twitter messages. KG had contacted me like years and years and years ago because thanks to you, juggalos, I love you for you reaching out to KG and pushing me to be booked by him. You guys are awesome for that, because if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't have reached out to me. And like, I don't know what you guys said or what KG saw in me or what he still sees in me and all that stuff. I have nothing but love for KG because it's thanks to him. Thanks to him. And yeah, even me, man. Even me, because yeah, I had to put money up to go, and to do all that stuff, and for all those ICP events that I did, and I loved it. And honestly, I would do it again and again and again. And I know I got sick. I know I made mistakes. And frankly, I learned from it, and I loved it, and I know that, like, I'm still making mistakes, and I understand what brings all of us juggalos together, I know how much we all suffer. I see it all. I'm an empath, so I can't help but be here, and at the same time, I'm also here for a larger agenda. I definitely am a psychopathic soldier, straight up. I mean, that hit me hard. It was such an honor to actually ring announce that, so to hear that, I'm with you, Psychopathic, I contacted Rudy. I channeled some stuff to him. I channeled some stuff to him in person. And I definitely would like to reach them all a little bit deeper. It's hard, with autism and everything. And yeah, this empath thing. And yeah, a lot of people, like Violent J, they don't really want to hear that stuff right now. Like his exact words, he was trying to enjoy the moment. You don't really want to talk about Dedicated to the Butterfly and God and the ending and all that. It's kind of uncomfortable, although, like, I couldn't help though feel like he and they were kind of like tying up their loose ends and like preparing to check out, and it kind of keeps reminding me of this I want to say Catherine Mansfield to room 19, where she arrives her, like, she aligns her whole entire thing so she can just completely die and kill herself. I don't even know what that is. I'm like tempted to like try to find to room 19. It was definitely one of the first stories. I'm not sure where it is. Okay, it doesn't look like it's in here. It's not easy accessible. Maybe it was Margaret Atwood though. Here we go. It's Doris Lessing. Incredible story, and it's rather short. I really love my class, okay? I do. So yeah, so this gathering this year was amazing, even though I didn't end up in a relationship, right, with getting married to a wrestler juggalo or anything like that, right? Even though that's not the ending, right? It was still amazing to have, like, lovey-dovey, like, just to have that experience while enjoying your favorite music. So it did definitely make me feel like, man, I would really love to have a partner who, like, yeah, I'm not saying you have to, like, love every song, although it'd be nice if you'd even, like, be there with me in a tent, or, like, just sucks that I have to even defend that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, you don't really understand unless you go. Although, like, I did feel an insane need to, like, support Psychopathic and to, like, let you know the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have this preconceived notion about juggalos, or yeah, exactly, like we're being labeled gang members now, right? I mean, it's like saying someone who paints their face and listens to Kiss all the time is a juggalo, though at the same time, because of, you know, past choices of being in Inner City Posse, I imagine that that's partially why we're tied into that. Not just that, although I think it's also connected to a lot of the facts that a lot of people don't really know the full story of, you know, what is a juggalo essentially is definitely something that I felt like as a child was definitely a way that I was looking at it. It's like, oh, those people aren't really juggalos, they're juffalos. They never really got the message, you know, they're just talking about, rapping about all that wicked stuff and hurting people and themselves, when really they never got the twisted message at the end, you know, where this is all in for an attempt to bring us all together and to, like, get better together. And then, like, you know, there's all these cynics, if you will. I mean, like, people are always saying that, like, it's just, like, you know, they're just doing it for money. I mean, obviously they want to feed and take care of their families. I just don't feel like that you would put your all into this for that, or for nothing. I mean, it's hard to explain. And just, frankly, it's not really ours to explain or understand. I'm just happy to participate. And yes, this had deeply influenced me in my life, and I am excessively interested in attending the 20th gathering. I would love nothing more than to wrestle, frankly, though. I really would. And I realize how much work that's going to take. I do. I'm gonna have to pay a lot of dues. Like, weeks and weeks and weeks of training. A lot of 4-hour drives to Orlando. So I definitely need to take care of my car and put in that love and care. And I'd like to follow through. When I last spoke with Teddy Hart, he said he might be returning. That would certainly be some motivation. You know, he was an excellent trainer. He really was, because he pushed me. Chasen and Teddy pushed me. Like, they pushed me more than anybody. I mean, I have a lot of people that push me, you know, and like I'm not saying that as like a cocky thing. I'm mentioning like all my trainers, you know, Rusty Brooks, Craig Classic, Johnny Vandal, and Max Stardom, man. I like honor Max Stardom, Angel Rose, you know. I gotta mention Leany. I know he's not a wrestler, though he's one of my hugest influences. Chris McGath, shout out to you. Wrestling Divas. There's some of you that have been extremely helpful to my wrestling pursuits. And those of you that were heels and bashed me, though, I loved you so much more, too. Because you were a helpful flame, you know? You helped me face my own reflection and helped me, like, destroy myself and rebuild myself into something more that I can be proud of, you know? So I'm loving and thankful for that. I'm definitely catching those feelings of falling in love. And you know how I feel about pro wrestling and how it gets me feeling some type of way. So I think that would be best. And then, yeah, I could book that Dansville yurt. I should probably do that no matter what, just to get that out of my system. And then, yeah, I should probably hit up Chasen and let him know my plan, since school's done in 4 days. I gotta pay attention and see what the business, like, you know, is like, you know. I'd like to do both. I'd like to be able to be at the museum and pursue training. The weekends are wrestling shows, and weekends are also when it's most busy at the museum. So I'm gonna have to find a balance, or find a closer school, or maybe I'll move to Orlando in 6 months. I don't know. Let's find out what's going on, though. Love you.